On March 20th, 2003, America invaded Iraq, starting the war which lasted until 2011. This war was an effort to make America look strong, but ultimately ended in a stalemate. In 2004, Al-Qaeda was created. In October 2006, the Islamic State of Iraq broke off from Al-Qaeda and eventually evolved into ISIS. In 2010 to 2012, a series of uprisings in the Middle East known as Arab Spring occurred. Most of these uprisings were by citizens demanding more democratic government. It took place in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. These uprisings weakened their government and kept citizens distracted while ISIS was able to come in and take over land in those countries.
ISIS has always ruled with an iron fist, banning things like music, smoking, and even shaving your beard. Citizens have very little freedom, and the information they know has been very restricted, so they believe that ISIS is right. An example of this brutal rule can be seen via a man named Salim, who was a barber in Iraq way back in 2015. Salim had a cousin who was getting married. His cousin asked him to shave his beard. Despite ISIS's ban on doing so, Salim decided to fulfill his request. But the word eventually got out to ISIS that he did so. They closed down his barber shop, and he was sentenced to 80 whips. However, he only received 50 before he fainted, and had to be taken to the hospital. Their rule is so harsh that in 2014, Al-Qaeda, the group that ISIS came from, cut ties with them. ISIS was too harsh for even Al-Qaeda.
ISIS was at its height in 2014, controlling over 100,000 kilometers of land. By 2017, it controlled over 52,700 kilometers. That's a pretty big decline, but ISIS remained as powerful as ever, thanks to its ability to recruit new members. Nobody knows for sure how many fighters ISIS had at the time, but estimates range anywhere from 100,000 people to 400,000 people.
Right when Americans thought we might be winning, ISIS made a huge surge. By 2019, the number of people involved in ISIS was up to 500,000 people. This increase in people allowed them to go back up to their height of controlling 100,000 kilometers squared. President Trump did everything he could to stop ISIS, but he had troubles convincing other countries to help him with the fight, as Europe was busy with their own problems at home. As much pressure as Trump put on ISIS, America couldn't single-handedly defeat it. In 2020, America elected Bernie Sanders as president. He put a lot less emphasis on the military, instead working on America's domestic problems. He fixed many of those, but was too caught up with him to make sure that ISIS doesn't get out of hand. Because of America's lack of force on ISIS, and Europe's unwillingness to fight ISIS, they had their fastest growth during this time period, capturing the Syrian capital of Damascus and pushing their territory in Iraq all the way out past Baghdad. During this time period, ISIS also expanded throughout North Africa. They took control of more areas in Libya and Egypt, and grabbed some land in Tunisia and Algeria. By 2025, they expanded down south in Sudan as well. In 2028, ISIS was able to overthrow the Syrian government and take control of the entire country. This move was the breaking point for France and UK, who both sent troops into the Middle East after this action. In response to that, Vladimir Putin and Russia also sent aid to ISIS to help them weaken the Western countries. Thanks to that aid, after 3 years of brutal fighting, ISIS overthrew the Iraqi government in 2031, taking control of that country. This move was able to get Germany on board with the fight against ISIS as well. To counter that move, Russia decided to put troops on the ground in the Middle East. ISIS's next priority was to take control of the rest of North Africa by grabbing Morocco and South Sudan in 2032. When this move was complete, ISIS set their sights on Turkey. After 1 year of fighting, it looked like they weren't going to be able to do it until they got some more help. In 2034, ISIS and Russia were able to convince China to help them with their cause. This move quickly turned the tides in the battle for Turkey, as just last year, 2036, ISIS took control of Turkey. Because this move brought ISIS so close to Europe, it was strong enough to convince Italy and Spain to also declare war on ISIS. That brings us to present day. America and Europe on one side versus ISIS, Russia, and China on the other side.
So yeah, that's how I got here.